Here's the $1,000,000 question. How do men like us reach our full potential and grow into the men we dream of being while taking care of our responsibilities, working, being good husbands, fathers, and still take care of ourselves? That's the question, and this podcast will help you with those answers. My name is Brent, and welcome to the Fallible Man Podcast. Today we're going to talk to a men's dating and relationship coach about, everything, because I just have so many questions. Kimberly Hill is joining us on the Fallible Man Podcast, and welcome, Kimberly.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I am super excited to be here.
I have to say, you're like the second female guest I've ever had.
Oh, okay. So this is good news.
But
I feel honored.
I defer to experts. So Susan was an intimacy expert. Is what her self-given title and stuff. And so I tend to defer to women when it comes to dating because, let's face it, most of us guys don't have a clue. And
honestly, women also don't have a clue. So I'll be the first one to say, I had no idea what I was doing dating. I managed to figure it out, got a little bit lucky along the way, but the truth is nobody is really taught this. So
I think it's an ever-changing field, to be honest. I'm not sure there's an ever. I have so I've been married for 20 years now. I told you my wife Sarah is doing the video work in the background. We've been married for 20 years. I've known her for kind of been in a relationship with her for 23. So the dating landscape is I can't even imagine it right now.
You probably wouldn't want to, either of you. So make sure you keep working it out.
I have several friends at work who are single, and I look at their life and go, yeah, man, I'm so glad I'm happily married. It just
well, let's be real. There's parts to envy in the dating process, but there are also many facets that are a huge source of frustration for a lot of people.
So before we dive too far into this, I am the worst podcast guest because I don't introduce my guests. I don't think that it doesn't work because I get to do all this research before a show. And so I get to look into your life and do your social media stuff. I was going through your Instagram this morning and I find out all these things, but that doesn't actually really translate to my audience. So let's start off with, tell our audience, who is Kimberly Hill and why are you here today?
Yeah, absolutely. Kimberly Hill is a men's life, dating, and relationship coach. And I'm here because, a lot of us need a little bit of guidance and support when it comes to navigating the world of online dating. And so I'm honored to be on an amazing show that speaks directly to men. So I can share some of what I'm teaching my clients now and maybe give you some useful tips that is going to help you feel a little more confident and a little more happy about the dating process that you're going through.
I will say I was going through your Instagram and I love just some of the posts you've made because I see, I honestly get a little anxious when I talk to people about dating and relationships, right? Because it's a very personal situation for anybody.
Yeah.
But, I tend to lean towards a very conservative relationship because I was raised to be in a very conservative relationship, right? To be very safe and not give your heart away too easily. But I was looking at some of the advice you put out on your Instagram, and I got to say, I'm incredibly impressed at the depth in which the advice you're offering out for men who are in the dating world.
Thank you.
It's very heartfelt, very deep, impactful advice that seems to be geared toward deep, meaningful relationships.
I appreciate that. And I'm really pleased to hear that feedback from you because, many of us are running brands and we are hoping that we're translating a specific message to people. And we don't always know how they're going to interpret that. But yes, you're totally right and very accurate that the support that I want to be providing and offer my clients is, how can you really have a deep, true, genuine connection? It is much less about the game playing or the tactics or the pickup lines or how to get in the sack or get out of the sack or how to chew your arm off in the morning. It's much more about, hey, if you're wanting to create an authentic relationship, you want to be monogamous, you want to commit to somebody, I'm going to guide you on how to do that. So thank you for sharing what you thought, and I'm really pleased to hear it.
Yep, it's some really impressive advice, guys. So you guys really need to pay attention on this one. Kimberly's got a lot to share. And Guys, how often do we get straight talk from a woman? You have all these questions you want to ask, and you're terrified to ask. And I
Mhm.
think we're going to go there today. So, Kimberly, before we get too deep, I have to ask you
Yeah.
the truly important question.
Okay.
What is your favorite kind of ice cream?
Oh my gosh. It's funny because I used to refer to some of the men I dated as vanilla ice cream. So nowadays, I'd say I'm a little bit more, mm, your cookie dough is probably my favorite flavor, or mint chocolate chip.
You see,
Mm.
you're scoring well with my wife. She loves mint chocolate chip.
Yeah, it's still classic, but it's like it's not super boring, right? Like anyone can get behind that and anyone can enjoy it.
I ask all my guests about ice cream. None of them are really expecting it, but it just, people are very interesting, and ice cream just tells you a lot about people's personalities,
Yeah.
right? You get
I'm
to,
totally a wacky, quirky, like untraditional person too. Like right now, it's where like we're introducing me and my business all serious. Really, if you get to know me, I'm totally goofy and wacky. I say things I shouldn't say all of the time. I'm highly inappropriate in situations where I shouldn't be. And I use humor a lot to diffuse awkward situations. So,
oh, you're in a good place then. You're in a good
yeah,
place.
welcome to my world.
I'm more of an awkward silence kind of person who's like, I don't know if I should make that joke.
It sounds familiar, Sarah. I do it anyways. Like, if we can't laugh at ourselves, and if we go through life and everything is so heavy and so serious, I believe, right, my belief's not going to be everyone else's, but I believe we're going to look back on our life and be like, man, why didn't I just have that mint chocolate chip ice cream? Like, why did I have to take everything so seriously?
I was raised a minister's son. And so I had to restrain certain parts of my humor in appropriate company. So
Hmm.
I always learned to, it's like, you know, pull the rein in just at that last second when you want to say that thing that it's either going to get a laugh or it's going to get you in trouble. And so
Hmm.
I tend to focus on the side of caution just on that one out of just pure instinctive
That's a
raising.
safe play. Playing it safe's not a bad way to go, right? But now and then, show the real you, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I get a little outspoken in other things, but yeah. As opposed to my wife, who is the one who's likely to make the quiet, snide remark and crack the joke.
I wonder what her star sign is. I'm gonna just take a wild random guess that she could be a Virgo like me.
Nope, nope.
No, wrong.
Scorpio.
I always say like Virgos are like we're good listeners, but we're like deep down we're like seething with quiet resentment. Like we always have that opinion in the back of our minds. Scorpio, she is.
I actually laugh because, I've never put any faith in the whole, astrological sign thing. However, I will say Sagittarius definitely sums me up pretty well.
Yeah.
But in my entire life, as long as I can remember, I've only ever dated Scorpios in my life.
Really? Oh, so you have a pattern.
Apparently, I never even would have guessed it, but yeah, looking back, it was always Scorpios.
But I mean, you've been married now for 20 years, so
Yep.
that was a while ago. You're a changed man.
Nope. I love my Scorpio. She keeps me
Yeah.
on my toes. So
Oh,
I
bless. I
gotta
love that you both
ask,
do this together. It's great.
and you're gonna have to forgive me because this is probably a really generic question.
Hmm.
How did you get into coaching men on dating and relationships?
Honestly, it's probably one of my number one most asked questions.
I
And I
figured,
always say to
but
people, prepare yourself for a non-traditional answer,
mhm.
because there was no way that growing up I thought that this is what I wanted to do. Okay, so I came from a totally different career, but where the similarities lie is that the career I had before this, where I worked in financial derivatives, was a very male dominated industry. So I'm from beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And when I was approaching my 20s, I decided to go on what many people do, is like the backpacking trip. I wanted to go explore Asia for a couple months before I settled down and got a real job, so to speak. And that backpacking trip turned into working overseas for over 10 years. So I left with a backpack. I actually came back with a backpack after many years, but 10 years of like working in Sydney, Australia, and living in Singapore, and finding myself working in this financial derivatives career. I was always working with men. So I reported to them. I traveled with them. I sat in the office with 98 men and one other woman. And I was always in that environment. And I actually felt very comfortable as a woman in that environment. And what I started to kind of notice over time, and most of this would be unconscious, but I started to notice that the men in the office would open up to me. I started to hear about what was really going on in their lives. And I could also witness the struggle that a lot of men dealt with in very high stressful job situations, trying to manage, keeping clients happy and also like have a healthy relationship. And a lot of the guys I worked with had relationships that weren't going so well. In fact, that was kind of reflecting on what was happening in my life too. So I'll try and give you the short version of the story is our firm actually hired a coach to be made available to the employees. And I thought, great, free advice, free help, like I'll take it. So I signed up, I started speaking to this gentleman for probably around a year. And it was one of the most impactful decisions I ever made to actually speak with this guy. Coaching really opened my mind up to really who I was, where my strengths and weaknesses were, and what I really wanted out of life. And through that kind of journey, I did have that aha moment where I realized I'm quite good at doing what I do here in the corporate world, but where I really feel like I'm going to thrive and what's going to be really impactful for me and where I want to head as an individual is helping other people. How that's going to look and how it's all going to work out, I didn't really know at the time, but I wanted to become a coach. And then the second part of the journey started where I did decide to leave my job. I did go on the journey of becoming a coach. And through many years of trial and error and working with other coaches and business coaches, I finally landed on supporting men in this area. The truth was, it started off with wanting to really support people with confidence. And very quickly, I realized that where a lot of men that I was attracting to my business were lacking confidence was in the area of dating and in their relationships. So I studied everything under the sun, including myself, and got qualified to do what I do now. And here I am, very non-traditional trajectory to getting into this seat.
From beautiful Vancouver.
Yes.
I'm in Central Washington.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been to Vancouver many times, but apparently Vancouver is a power seat of, successful women online, right?
There's a lot of like female run businesses here.
Right.
Yeah.
I can think of several just people I follow on YouTube, business coaches like Vanessa Lau and
Sunny Lenarduzzi as well. Yeah.
I watch both Sunny and Vanessa a lot. It's like, wow, there's something going on here, right? Vanessa and Sunny, and now you. There's all these successful women who are pursuing careers online, helping people in amazing ways. Vancouver is just apparently a good place for it.
Well, it's kind of like a little, Vancouver's always like the West Coast, kind of relaxed, healthy, vegan yoga, community in a way. So, there's a lot of people that are very business minded here that want to like afford the lifestyle that you need to afford in Vancouver. And how do we do it? By like helping other people and also helping ourselves. And so, there are quite a lot of people that are coaches that I know in different coaching areas, whether it's business coaches, life coaching, or trauma-informed coaching, to dating and relationship coaching, which is what I specialize in. So, yeah.
How do you stand on Rogers chocolates? I gotta ask.
Oh, Rogers, pretty good. I'd say I go for Purdy's more often, but weirdly, my favorite chocolate is when I was living in Australia. I don't know what it was, but just tasted better over there. I don't know why.
Interesting.
See, I would say the same thing about coffee. There's something about like the dairy in Oz. It's just so creamy and rich that everything just tasted better there for some reason.
I dig the Australian yogurt, the Noosa brand yogurt.
Yeah.
It's there's something different about it. I like the way they do it there.
Yeah, well, Sarah's saying it's the sun. I think they put like in their chocolate like an anti-melting agent. There's no off there. I don't know if that affects the flavor at all. I'm probably just going on a random tangent, but I just remember like sitting down and having like a full fat milk latte and just being like over the moon and turning into a bit of a coffee snob.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about the modern dating landscape. Because like I said, Sarah and I have been together
Yeah.
23 years, married 20. You know, I have several coworkers who are in long-term relationships
Mhm.
and don't really do the dating thing. So, I mean, I look at what I see online, and honestly, it's terrifying from my perspective.
Well, yeah, you're right. Most people are talking about the problems people are facing when it comes to dating, because we're very vocal about things that aren't going so well in our lives. But once people do find someone that they're really compatible with, they kind of go silent, don't they? Right? They're no longer blogging about how awesome their relationship and life is. So I will share with you some of the common frustrations that I hear, and then we can maybe unpack and talk about those. So definitely what I'm hearing very, very frequently is this exact phrase: online dating is just not for me. Okay. So people, particularly men that I work with, are so frustrated with the landscape and the interactions they're having online. I did just a Instagram quiz the other day, which got, like quite a lot of responses. And it was, I'm just not getting the kind of matches I want. The conversations on apps are boring, or I have no idea how to ask a woman out these days, or the whole process is just frustrating the crap out of me. So that's a very, very common frustration, is how do I navigate online dating? Why does it feel so superficial? Or help, I'm on there and I feel like a ghost. So that's definitely a really common frustration that men have, probably women too. Um, and the other is, I hear a lot of, I continue to attract the same type of person. Why is this happening? Right? I continue to attract either someone who doesn't want to commit to me, or I continue to get into toxic relationships, or there's some kind of pattern that's happening and I'm frustrated because I don't know why. So I would say off the top of my head right now, those are two very common kind of frustrations that I get from men. And probably the third would be, I'm dating again. I maybe am divorced now. Maybe I'm even divorced twice, or I'm a single dad with kids, right? And I have no idea where to start, because the last time I dated, and this would be like what your situation would be like if for some reason you weren't in a relationship right now, you'd be like, I don't even know where to start, because the last time I dated was like 20 years ago and it sure as heck ain't the same. So I would say those are like the three common issues that men are dealing with. And they're very real problems.
I know in the men's circles, I'm in several different various men's groups, and I interact with men all the time, obviously, and just my coworkers on my 9 to 5 job and stuff like that. They're all very intimidated. The Me Too movement scared the living daylights out of men.
It's really important to raise that too. Yeah.
And as many, I've known many women who are the victims of abuse. And so I absolutely think anyone who abuses someone should be brought to justice. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that a lot of victims feel like no one hears them, or they get pushed off. And so I absolutely want justice for that. But at the same time, I also want, there's a lot of, you don't even have to prove a lot of things anymore, right? There's a lot of, just an accusation can destroy a life.
Yeah.
And that
sure
can just be a person having an angry reaction to something, right? And so I know a lot of guys I talk to are very scared at the moment to even approach a new relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really valid. And I also, there's 2 points I want to make here. One is, I have a podcast as well, and I can't remember, it was a couple months ago I brought a gentleman on. He talked about sexual abuse happening to men as well, and how common that is, particularly in America, but it's not talked about as much. And so you're very right. When it comes to the Me Too movement, I do believe that there are a lot of guys, they have these self-limiting beliefs. If I approach a woman in public, she's going to find me creepy. Or if I try and show a woman I desire her by putting a hand around her waist or on her leg during a date to see if she's comfortable with me, I'm going to be seen as a pervert, or I'm going to make her feel uncomfortable. So what the heck do I do? Because if I don't want to be friend zone, I need to let her know I desire her. But if I let her desire her, then I'm going to be offending her or getting in trouble. So I'm just going to sit at home and not even bother. right?
Right.
It's a thought that I'm sure a lot of men have. And so overcoming that is obviously really important, because one of the things I share with people a lot of the times is the beliefs that we have around dating and what we think is going to happen, and our expectations around it can either support us to have a healthy experience or completely be to our detriment, right? So yeah, it's really valid that you bring that up. And I think there's a lot of men that I'm actually coaching now on, one, making sure they're not relying 100% on online dating, because it's a tool, not the only way to meet people, right? I always say, like, if you woke up tomorrow morning and Tinder and Bumble and Hinge and eHarmony and Plenty of Fish didn't exist, what would you do to meet somebody? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, this is a problem, right? We need to go back to understanding, how do you approach women and what is maybe the right way to do that. And so there's a lot of coaching that I do on like social skills as well.
Mm-hmm. I honestly, I would be lost for sure if I didn't have Sarah. You know, I was raised, and you went to church to meet nice girls. That's where you went.
Oh,
Right?
it's a good place for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
As a preacher's kid and a former minister, that's just, you know, you might date other girls every now and then, but you went to church to find nice girls to actually have a relationship with.
To find a wife, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, are you familiar with I'm jumping ahead of myself.
That's great.
In response, like Terry Crews came out talking about being sexually abused, and he was met with such cruelty because this big masculine man who used to be a football player, right, and is seen as a physically fit person, is trying to say, well, yeah, I was sexually abused. And
Yeah.
the ridicule for a man speaking up. So yeah, that definitely doesn't happen often, where men come
That's
forward
absurd,
with that.
because just because a man is physically strong, it doesn't mean he's not capable of having someone take advantage of him, right? Because abuse, I'm not an abuse specialist, but my thoughts here are that it's not just like someone walks into a room and touches you physically. It's often a slow burn and a manipulation and a power dynamic. And I had a client that shared with me in confidence a while ago. He had never told anyone in his life about a time where he was sexually abused by a male friend. And as he was telling me the story of how it happened and why he allowed it to happen, I'm putting air quotes out there for people that are only on audio. It was so heartbreaking to hear. And I can understand how it could happen to so many people, because it's also like a psychological form of abuse. So yeah.
Exactly. Are you familiar with the MGTOW movement? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't. No, but I'd love to hear.
It's MGTOW. I'm not sure there's an actually great way to pronounce the acronym, but it's men going their own way. And it's a movement I have seen picking up online, in online groups like
I've heard of
Facebook
this.
and other men's group, where you find men's groups.
Yeah.
And it's very much of a, all right, guys, there's nothing we absolutely need from women at this point.
I actually have heard of this, and you know what? It was from someone who's connected with me on social media, and I remember I don't remember the name of the individual, but this was a conversation many, many months ago, and he brought this up, but it came across to me as more like an anti-women type movement, right? Like, we don't need women, we can sustain our lives without them, which I fundamentally would disagree with, being a woman myself, but. Yeah, I can imagine that movement is coming from a place of real deep hurt and mistrust of women.
I think that's definitely where it's based in. Seeing a lot of people talk about it, it's more of the views I'm seeing on it. Besides, like I said, I agree. I think it came from a very injured person is where it started, with people just being hurt, and and I've seen the stories, right? I've known guys who have just gotten crushed in their relationships, but I'm seeing more of a, what's the right term? It's a value proposition, right? Men are weighing is like, okay, well, if this relationship goes well, what does being in this relationship bring me other than the physical side of it, versus if it goes south, right? I know at least in the US, judges give women pretty much what they want, carte blanche, in the court system.
Mm-hmm.
So, guys are looking at it going, okay, well, if I come into this relationship with a good job and, stuff I've worked hard for, all she's got to do is decide, I'm not happy anymore. And she gets half of what I worked for.
Yeah.
For years to come. And so I'm seeing a lot of guys going like, is it really worth the risk to lose half of what you spent your life working for? I was just curious if you guys were seeing that up there and you're dealing that with your clients some.
That not so much. I have most of my clients are Canada or the United States, and of course international as well. I definitely am picking up on that from my US clients, not so much from my Canadian clients. Okay. I have worked with a lot of men that are thinking about divorce, in the divorce process, or already divorced. And I do remember one specific client that I worked with out of New York who said the court system just does not favor men. And here I am feeling like I'm going crazy and losing absolutely everything, despite the fact that I actually tried my very best to make things work. So I can understand where the thought process comes from, but I don't necessarily agree that it's a healthy one. And it also means that systematically, like, the courts need to like work on that, because men are very capable of being caregivers and providers for family and for children. We shouldn't necessarily be favoring women just because they have breasts or something like that, right? So I can understand where that me versus them mentality comes from, but I think it's very unhealthy. And obviously there's a lot of benefit that can come from having a healthy relationship. That being said, I'm sure there are plenty of women out there that are genuinely just looking for money or a warm bed or whatever else it might be. And it's certainly not the kind of relationship I want, and it's certainly not the kind of relationship I'm helping my clients find, but I know it certainly exists out there, and that's why there's so much chat about toxic relationships. Yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to roll to our sponsor real quick, and we're going to be right back with Kimberly, and I promise we're going to pick it up to a much more positive idea, but we had to get the ugly truth out of the way and some of the stuff's going on. So stick with us, and we'll be right back with more from Kimberly Hill.
Today's episode brought to you by thefallibleman.com. That's right, it's us. Head over to www.thefallibleman.com and check out our blog, updated twice a week with new content and links to all of our social media offerings. Tag or search us at The Fallible Man or at Fallible Man on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and other social medias for daily content. While you're there, check out our attitude swag, shirts, cups, stickers, and more. Again, that's www.thefallibleman.com.
Guys, we're back with Kimberly Hill, and we are talking about dating, relationships, and more. And I have no idea where this is going, but it's a great conversation so far. And we're going to just keep digging in. And Kimberly is sharing some amazing perspectives with us. And Kimberly, I have to ask, what have you purchased in the last year under $100 that has most profoundly impacted your life?
Well, that's a phenomenal question. I'll give something that's related to what I do and something that might not be related, but is definitely related to the mindset of what I do. So there are 2 books that I have purchased that are under $100 that are very relevant to the work that I do. I would highly recommend any man go check them out. They just happen to be in arm's reach as well. And they're both actually by the same author. So if anyone's ever heard of Dr. Robert Glover, he wrote a book called No More Mr. Nice Guy. And it's a phenomenal read for men that are feeling like they're people pleasers or are often putting others before themselves and their own needs and are struggling in relationships. So No More Mr. Nice Guy. And then Robert Glover just recently came out with another book called Dating Essentials for Men. And it's also phenomenal. And I reference it tons in my work because it ultimately is a lot of the lessons in there are what I'm helping men with. So 2 books under $100 that have definitely changed the way that I coach men, the thoughts that I have around dating for men, and also really validate a lot of the work I was doing before I read it. On a personal note, what I have purchased is it under $100? Maybe it's not under $100, but I'm going to tell you anyways, is golf lessons. So I am very into golfing. And for anyone that loves to work on their mindset and any type of self-improvement, I highly recommend taking up golf, because it's very much about a skill that you develop and hugely about how you view yourself and the way you learn and the game. It's a huge mental challenge. So under $100 would be probably a round of 18 holes the other weekend. But when I was thinking of that question, I was actually thinking of golf lessons that I signed up for. It's actually more of a couple $100, but when I think of a purchase that's incredibly profound for me, investing in developing a skill that not only challenges me physically, but also my mindset, hugely, hugely beneficial for me. So yeah.
So let me ask you this. Is there something that universally you see broadly among your clients, as far as they come to you and you're working with, like I said, broadly across a majority of your clients? Is there one thing that they come to you with and you're like, okay, well, we need to work on this aspect of, helping you with this, whether that's, developing yourself or whatever. What is it you see a broad spectrum?
Universal, it's mindset. So it's the difference between certain individuals that have what's considered a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. For those that don't know about fixed versus growth mindset, you can look it up. It was created by Carol Dweck. I think she's a Stanford University psychologist. She wrote a book on it. And most of the times I'm really coaching individuals around their beliefs and their mindset, how they approach dating. I can teach you the skills of dating. I can teach you how to kind of have some communication and how to set up your profile. But the most important thing is how you're viewing yourself and the process. So mindset for sure.
Okay. Well, my audience is going to be familiar with the concept of growth mindset. We talk about it a lot. I've actually read her study and her work on that.
Yeah. She's Stanford, right? Did I get that right? I was going in the memory bank.
I think so. I think read so the too. Study. Yeah. I didn't really care where she was from. I tend to, some people hook onto certain details on things.
Yeah.
I want the information. If you're universally being recognized for the work, I want the information. I don't care who you are or where you're from. And I'm likely going to misquote who did it. I'm interested in the meat of it. I want the information.
That's the important stuff, right? Yeah.
I wish I had the memory to recall. I've read so many books and talked to so many interesting people, and just the stuff I've learned and studied over the years. It's like, I kind of wish I had a memory for that, but I'm that guy who's like, I remember this. I have no idea who said it.
So somewhere I read something that said something along the lines of this. That's basically my brain too. I don't know if you've ever watched the series Suits on Netflix, that Mike Ross lawyer guy who basically has a photogenic memory. We kind of all wish we could be like that, but we're not really.
Yeah, it kind of blows my credibility in a lot of arguments. It's like, no, really, I do know. I was arguing with my friend about something the other day, and it's like, do you really want to debate this? He's like, well, you can't cite it, but at the same time, I know how much time you spend sitting around reading studies and reports and news stories. So I have no doubt you read it. I just really like to know where you read it, because I want to see it. It's like, I'll work on that. I'll see if I can pull it up for you. But, I read like 300 articles last week, so I have no idea which one it was.
That's like writing an essay in high school and then like having to you get 50% of your grade is on how well you source it.
Right? Bibliographies, bane of my existence in high school. So let me ask you this. What are your 3 best pieces of advice for any random man on the dating scene right now? Just randomly, if a guy goes, okay, I want to start dating, what are just the 3 starting pieces of advice you're going to give him?
Know what you're looking for. And when I mean that, I mean, know what your values are and how those align with the person that you want to be in a relationship with. Okay. Because there's so many people that, what I call, use the spaghetti at the wall tactic with dating. They just throw it at the wall and they see what sticks. And they hope to heck it turns out to be a good experience. And maybe that actually works out. And maybe it ends terribly. Okay. So know what you're looking for. The second is know what you don't want. Okay, just as much as you need to get clear on what you are looking for, the type of relationship you want to have, the values that you want to align with somebody else, such as kids or no kids, religion, no religion, those types of things, really, really important.
Yeah.
Is know what you don't want. So be really clear on what your boundaries are and what your deal breakers are. And I say that because my third point is go in it with a real open mind and a positive attitude, and know your value. Okay, because there are so many people that are out there dating that are prioritizing the idea of love over things like respect and commitment. Okay, so there are a lot of men that are chasing women who are actually not emotionally available for them or are not showing them the kind of interest that they also deserve. So for me, I always say like a deal breaker is apathy, where someone has a lack of interest in you. Often men, if they think, oh, this is my only shot, or she's the only one that responded to me, I'm going to keep chasing and pushing and hopefully convince her to love me. No, man, move on. You're better than that. You can find someone else that wants to put the effort in to get to know you. So off the top of my head, those are the three, right? Know what you want, know what you don't want, and value yourself. Keep an open mind through the process.
Okay, going from that process to, I'm going to pull in one of the questions you had on your bio. What are the 3 biggest mistakes men are making in 2021 about dating?
Overthinking everything. Should I? Shouldn't I? Should I approach her? Shouldn't I approach her? Should I wait a couple days before I message her? What the heck does that mean? Should I show all my buddies what that means? Like, so much overthinking and concerning yourself with whether you're showing up right or should be doing something different. Do you? Right? So definitely a huge mistake is overthinking the whole process. And that's typically going to happen for men that are not what I class, but what under the attachment styles we class as an anxious dater, right? There's also men that are very avoidant. They want love, but as soon as like they get too close to someone, they're like, I'm out of here. I'm going to leave you before you get a chance to leave me. Peace out, right? Probably the same guys that founded that movement, right? Yeah. Okay. So mistake number 1 is overthinking the whole process.
Okay.
The second is, I'm going to go more on like what's current and more mainstream with online dating is texting anxiously. So trying to build a connection with someone through text messaging. Okay. I believe that that's a mistake. Now, a lot of people are really comfortable dating from their living rooms alone in their underwear. I don't think that's the best process, right? We're matching with someone. We're then conversing with them on message, and that can go on in some cases for months between people, right? When are you going to actually meet that person in real life? So we're constantly texting, we're overthinking the texting. We're doing these long back and forth sagas, sharing our life on a text message. And it is a mistake in many regards. Now, if you're separated by distance, there's just a reason why you can't meet right away. I understand. You got to go through the process that's organic and natural for you. But I do suggest that once you've matched with somebody, and I'm just referring to online right now, once you've matched with somebody and you had enough conversation to get a sense of whether they're interesting enough to want to meet, get their number, go for a coffee, right? You don't date at home alone in your living room. You date when you get out in the world and you're genuinely connecting with people. So that would be a mistake that I see really often with men is, they're kind of dating online only. And when they do, they're afraid to take it to the next step. And a third mistake, which kind of goes to the advice I gave, which is tolerating poor behavior. So somebody isn't showing interest, or they're expecting you to pay for everything, or they're canceling last minute on you, or they're not valuing you and your time, yet you're pursuing them anyways. Not such a good way to go. So those would be the 3 that I think of off the top of my head.
Guys, if you are getting something out of this, be sure do the whole social media thing. Give us the like, give us the thumbs up, and let us know that you're enjoying this. And be sure and check out Kimberly over at her YouTube channel and all of her many social medias. Now, Kimberly, here is the real question that everybody wants to know, right? What women want. What are women actually looking for in a relationship in 2021?
Fantastic question. It's not necessarily a one-word answer. What women are looking for is safety. So what I mean by that is a lot of men would say, oh, women are looking for security, which means I need to be financially stable. But that's not necessarily what women are really looking for. What women are looking for is a man that they can share a life with that makes them feel safe to be around. And what I mean by that is they feel safe that you're sharing a similar vision for the relationship. They feel safe being vulnerable with you, right? They feel safe in the space that you're creating together. And of course, on top of that, they want to feel desired, right? We want our partners to desire us. Like I want to know that the man that I'm dating loves the crap out of me, right? I want to know that he desires spending time with me. I want to know that he talks about me positively when I'm not around. But at the same time, I want to feel safe in that relationship. So it's not that complicated, really.
It's amazing, but women, I laugh because I've seen so many relationship people talk about, women study men, right? If you look at women's magazines, there's all these magazines and all these articles about, how to improve your relationship and stuff like that. Guys are very simple and women are very complex in the way they look at things. And so I know so many guys who they're in the relationships, whether they're in one actively or dating, are just so confused about, well, what does a woman actually want from me?
We want you to be true to yourself and to your values and your convictions. So the last thing a woman wants is a man that she can push around, like, so to speak, right? I don't want to change who my partner is. Yet as a woman, I'm going to test him, because unconsciously we're going to be testing men all the time, this is the complicated part, right? We say, don't do your work tonight, come spend time with me, because we want to know that if we ask you that, you're going to drop everything to come spend time with us. But deep down, if you then give up what your passions are and your purpose to then come spend time with us, we then actually view you as, just going to throw the word out there, we see you as weaker, because you're not actually staying true to what's important to you. You're ignoring what's important to you just to please us in that moment. Right? So women, and I know this is the complicated thing, and if you want to dive deeper into this, The Way of the Superior Man by Dada is a really good book for men to read, where he talks about the polarity of feminine and masculine, and how you can't have two people on a dance floor. If they're both trying to lead, you're going to fumble and have an awkward dance, right? You need to be able to have a bit of that back and forth and polarity. But generally, women want to feel safe around you. They want to feel desired, but they also want to know that they can't control you and everything that you do. So stay true to who you are and what you value, and don't just bend and waffle and crumble just to make your woman happy in that moment, right? Because it is entirely impossible to please somebody all the time. We're going to test you, right? But we hope that you really pass the test.
See, it's hilarious. So, I have a line of shirts and products that has the words toxic masculinity across it, and the word toxic crossed out, and it says essential masculinity over the word toxic, because I think toxic masculinity is used very badly.
Yes, it's misused, actually, for sure.
See,
essential masculinity, right? Yeah.
And it's funny because I keep seeing all these women are like, oh, I want men who are more in touch with their feelings and more sensitive, and men who will prioritize me. And it's like, if we all acted like that, you really wouldn't be interested in having a real relationship with us.
Well, some of those women are probably very tapped into their masculine, right? And there's times in my relationship where I'm a little bit leading and maybe the bit more dominant person, but then I also know how to reel it in and let my man shine. And it's like, be the hero, because that's what he's meant to be. It's like, biologically, he wants to be the hunter-gatherer. He wants to take care of his woman and, club her on the head and drag her across the floor type mentality. But yeah, we do want men to be able to be vulnerable and open up and express emotions and show those emotions with us. Where I'm not saying that there's a bunch of women out there that are looking for feminine men, so to speak. And I know when we use feminine and masculine words, people can get a little bit upset about it, but I'm I'm not really talking gender specific. I'm talking about the energies.
Right.
Women who are very feminine in their essence and their nature are looking for a man who's strong and can be masculine and can have that opposite attraction and pull. So my man's a perfect example of this. I rave about him all the time. I completely love him. I think he's an amazing example of a man, because he can be sensitive and share what's really going on in his mind and his worries and his stresses and his frustrations with me, and I can hold space for him. And there's times when I'm looking at him like, this, get out of his way, because he's going somewhere and he's going to get there. And I'm not going to stop him no matter what I do or say. And to look at him and have that respect for the fact that he's multidimensional is hugely attractive for me, and I think is really important.
See, I think that's something that gets lost today, is this idea of mutual respect. I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Is we are not just in relationships, moving away from being taught to just respect people and respect other people, people who are different than us, people who have different ideas than us. We've gone to this movement where if we don't agree on something, we can't be friends. Nope, we don't agree. Sorry, we're out, And
I'm not friends with many people then.
it has become a very predominant mentality in the way people are looking at the world, instead of going, you know what? Hey, we have different opinions, and that's cool. That's what makes our friendship cool, our relationship cool.
Great.
Is we're stronger together, right?
There's no way that everyone you come across is going to think the same way you do. You were raised differently, you have different beliefs. You might have different political leanings, different religious, ideas. And so if you're only searching for people that validate what you think, I would imagine you're living a very sheltered life, so to speak, right? I think that everybody should also seek the opposite information to what they believe, and then make an informed decision.
I was raised by a very Southern upbringing, so it's you respect people, you treat people with courtesy, you treat people with respect, and there's a lack of mutual respect in a lot of relationships these days, whether it be romantic relationships or friendships even, and I think that's one of the reasons we're struggling in relationships these days, is that lack of respect.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people are coming from a place of feeling hurt. And so we often, Sarah said the word earlier, mirroring other people when we were talking about those groups and how they're behaving, is we can protest in our relationships to try and get attention. And the way we protest to do that might be a really unhealthy mannerism that we bring up, right? It could be to criticize our partner just so that they give us something. And that's not very respectful of the other person. So the other kind of half of what I do in my practice, outside of, supporting men to date in a way that's healthy and authentic to them, but is also working with men that are already in relationships that are wanting to improve their relationship communication. They want to reduce conflict, or at least have conflict that is healthier, because we can't avoid it. It's necessary. We just need to know how to engage in a respectful manner to go to that point of respect. And if you follow any of the work by the Gottman Institute, which is where I've done a lot of my relationship theory studies, they show that there are what they call the 4 horsemen in conflict. So I don't know if this has ever come up in your podcast, if you've ever talked about it before,
but
I
haven't.
No,
I'm familiar with the idea, but I haven't talked about it.
Yeah. So, the number one predictor of marital divorce is holding your partner in contempt, which is a form of disrespect, right? It's rolling your eyes at them. It's in that moment thinking you're better than them, that they're down here and you're up here. And if we treat our partners like that, number one predictor of marital divorce, right? The other 3 horsemen, which are also terrible offenses, but maybe not as bad as the contempt, is criticizing our partners. The whole, you did this, you're such a bad person, right? Like, you didn't unload the dishwasher, or you're late, or you are, and I'm like, women also really like to point out all the negative things that their partner do. So criticism, another. Defensiveness is another one, where when somebody is trying to express something to you that made them feel uncomfortable or hurt their feelings, instead of hearing them and holding space for them, we jump to the defense. Yeah, well, I only did that because of all these reasons, and I'm so justified in everything that I do in my life, right? So defensiveness is we're gonna have a gridlock here. And the last one is stonewalling. So this is completely shutting down when we're having a conversation with our partner. And that could be you and your wife are having a conversation and you're tired of listening to her. So you pick your phone up and you ignore her, right? Or you turn the TV back on, or you walk out of the room, right? In the middle of a conversation, which shows the other person that you don't value or care about what they're saying. And it's just totally a sign of disrespect. The good news is there's ways to overcome all this and improve our conflict and have healthier conflict and actually remind each other that we're on the same team. So yeah, some fascinating stuff that I'm sure we could go totally on a tangent talking about it. But
have you, are you familiar with Dr. Les and Leslie Perot or Parrott? I don't know how to say their name. So they're a Christian-based couple, but they have a book called The Good Fight. In fact, they do seminars.
Right. I think I've
over. They do simulcast for the book called The Good Fight.
Yeah.
And it's Dr. Les and Leslie Parrott. I don't know if there's a little oomph on one of the letters or something. But Sarah and I sat through a simulcast at our church. They hosted it and had like dinner and stuff and watched the simulcast. But it was a really incredible book. And I've talked about it several times in some of my videos.
Mm-hmm.
And they teach people how to have healthy conflict in their relationship, so you both win.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, they say both win, or compromise, or find a way to remind yourself that you're on the same team, because most people are trying to win in an argument. In fact, that's what I was taught in high school. I was on the grade 11 debate team, and it was about winning. It was about making the other person appear unintelligent or like a loser in that instance. And so I learned how to defend myself and how to poke criticisms at others. I literally was taught that skill. And guess what? Where that translated into my relationships.
Oh yeah.
Where in my past, I'm so super open about it. I reflect on who was I in my relationships. Overall, I'll give myself a pretty good score, right? I'm not too hard on myself, but I know that one of my weaknesses was I was very quick to point out the flaws in my partner versus highlight the good things that they were doing. So I would be very critical when I was feeling unloved or lonely or anxious or hurt or anything. My immediate reaction would be to criticize the other person. And that didn't make any of my partners feel very good. So I try very hard to diminish that. Sometimes I can be critical. I don't mean to be. Nobody's perfect. But I'm much more focused on highlighting the positive things that my partner does, because those are the things that I enjoy and I'm taking notice of these days.
That was one of the interesting concepts in their book, is the idea of you both win, right? Because we all have been taught that, right?
Yeah.
You fight, it's all about who wins. Right. We're taught that from the time we're little. And so, it was a really, you got to check that out in some of your reading. It's a very interesting concept of, it's like, no, there's a way to both win in a fight. Wait, no. That's not right. I know this. So
we're all on the same team. It's just like, if we can just remember that when we're in conflict, like it's not you versus me, it's us versus the problem. Okay, it's us versus the problem, not you and I against one another. However, if you want to have a little psychological trick to win arguments, make yourself bigger than the other person and stand above them looking down at them. That is a little trick you can use in business and in your negotiation.
I was going to say, that doesn't work. I'm a lot bigger than my wife, trust me.
It doesn't work.
That doesn't work at all.
No, you're looking over her, you're like, oh my God, I'm out of here.
I don't even try, because if I puff up any bigger, I'm just going to get jacked in the ribs. She got a mean elbow.
Okay, warning, don't take my advice on that.
She got two brothers, so she's had to hold her own.
I love it.
You keep using the term, hold the space for them. Will you explain that a little bit? I like the term.
Yes. What I'm really saying there is active listening. So this is going to come up in the dating process, and it's sure as heck going to come up in your relationships, where one individual is sharing something that's important to them. It could be really emotional. They could be angry. They could be sad, and they're coming to you as their trusted partner to hear them. Now, oftentimes, there are two things that happen. One, when our partner is feeling uncomfortable, we feel uncomfortable and we want to feel less uncomfortable. So we try and make them feel less uncomfortable so that we can feel less uncomfortable, right? So we might interrupt them or try and give them solutions to their problem just so they can stop being angry or hurt and be happy again. Because gosh, it's so uncomfortable when you're unhappy. Holding space is saying, I can sit with my partner's discomfort and I can be okay, right? I can hold space to hear and feel what my partner is going through. And in this moment, my duty is to just listen to them. You don't need to solve their problem. I don't need to fix their feelings or the emotions. I can just be present and hold that space for what they're experiencing and going through. Super important. Men are a little bit more hardwired to want to find solutions to problems, and women are a little more emotionally driven. So when she comes to you with an emotional problem and you try and meet her with intellect, you're going to have a bit of a mismatch, right? I'm sure that whoever is coming to you is intelligent enough to know how to take a few first steps to overcome their own problem. They're most likely looking for a space to be heard and for their emotions to be validated. So advice out there for men and for women is, if someone's coming to you with emotion, meet them with emotion or ask them permission if you want to help solve their problem. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm hearing what you're saying. Would you like me to just listen to you, or would you like me to offer some solutions here? And they might just say, please just listen, or just, I don't know, just listen, or whatever they're going through, right? I don't need a solution right now. So
I laugh, and it drives people insane for an audio show because I don't laugh out loud very often, but I just sit here and grin through this entire dialogue because I'm looking at my marriage, and you know, my wife over here in the comments can tell you, there are times I have to stop and go, okay, am I listening to you talk about the problem, or am I solving the problem? Mm-hmm. Because as men, we're hardwired, right? Someone we love, someone we care about deeply comes to us and is in distress. We're protectors and providers biologically. That's what we are hardwired for. Yeah. So my first need is, there's something wrong with my spouse. There's something making her unhappy. I need to fix it. That's becomes priority number one in my brain, is because her world is not right, therefore my world is not right, and I need to solve her world because her being right is a very crucial part of my world. Yeah. Right? It's not just that I want to make her not feel upset or bad. It's also her being happy is a very critical part of my world.
Right? And probably how you view the health and the strength of the relationship.
Yes. Right? This is the barometer. Like, my whole world can be falling apart. As long as my wife and kids are okay, the world can burn. I don't care. Yeah. But the minute my wife is distressed, I mean, I can be perfectly happy. If she is distressed about something, instantly just comes crashing down. I am ready to tear someone's head off, whatever it takes to fix the problem.
That's coming from a good place, for sure.
I will build the Taj Mahal, or I will go whack somebody if I need to, whatever, what it takes. Yeah. And so as a man, it's very difficult to have that. I'd say that's one of the things in relationships that all men really struggle with. Oh, yeah. And that's why I wanted you to expand on your term for holding space. Like, this is it's really for critical.
Sure, the number one thing that gets raised with men I work with that are in relationships is we're having fights, and I don't even know why they've started. And a lot of the times they start because there's an unmet need. Mm-hmm. And that unmet need could be, I just needed to feel heard and listened to, right? Which most of us are really wanting. Yeah.
Right. The whole emotional, our emotional range can be a little limited. And I know that's like a bad trope, right? Everybody's like, oh yeah, men have no, we have emotions. We just process them very differently than women do. And so the emotions occur after the problem is over, right? Mm-hmm. Our hardwire is solve the problem, fix the issue, and then we can process how we feel about it. Yeah. I have a there are people who would call me klutzy. I've had a number of injuries over the years, and my wife is mocking me in the comment section over here, guys.
Just a big wall.
I have had more than a fair share of injuries over the years. Some pretty severe ones. I broke my neck at the beginning of 2020
Oof.
in the gym. I've got a fractured lower spine. I've racked up the injuries.
Yeah, golf's not for you, huh?
Huh?
Golf is not your sport then.
No, I like the driving range.
Yeah.
I really, my brother-in-law introduced me to the driving range. It's kind of where we built our relationship. We drink coffee and just go to the driving range and laugh at each other, just whacking balls out to the left field.
Yeah.
I don't know that I could ever actually play real golf. I'm not sure I have the temperament for that. But no, I am a bit incident prone, but in those moments I have utter clarity. Right? When I broke my neck, I immediately knew what was wrong. I assessed my situation before I ever tried to move or even thought about it. Like I ran full diagnostics, wiggle my toes a little bit, wiggle my ankle, you might curl my foot a little bit, wiggle my, just work my way up the joints, see if I had lack of movement or anything. I am super prime. I actually have a t-shirt that says I'm great in the moment.
Right. Well, you tapped right into that logical brain. So instead of acting on your emotion, you went through like, what is really happening right now? That's a very good stress response.
But for me, it was, 5 days, 6 days removed before I even emotionally started processing anything. And it didn't feel like it set me back that bad. I actually have a bit of lingering trauma. It's been over a year now, but I was actually doing a podcast recording, I think last week. Right at the end, I was wrapping everything up and downloading files, and my neck popped. My neck never used to pop. It's only done it a handful of times since I broke it. But 2 of the times, like, I lost consciousness.
Wow, jeez Louise.
I have not been back to a doctor, and I really need to see, because they said it was all healed up.
Yeah.
But it popped right at the end. Sarah came up to talk to me about the episode after we were done with it, and I was just sitting there afraid to move, right? But it took a long time for me to realize that I even had any kind of trauma to it, because I processed everything intellectually at the time. And then it was like, okay, wow, that was a uncomfortably close call.
No, there's a lot of emotions that needed to be processed for sure.
That was my limit of processing it.
Yeah.
Right. So guys are great at, we want to fix something and then we can think about how we feel about it. We want to process the emotions as an afterthought. And so when someone we care about comes to us, we're like, ooh, we got to fix this now. We got to fix your world. Then you can start the healing process, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the way we do it, as opposed to the fairer sex who want to process the moment and the emotions and deal with them right there and actually feel them. We're just like, no, we need to take care of things. We'll get to feeling later.
Oh yeah. Women make decisions based on how they're feeling in the moment. So that's why I could say to you, I don't want to go on that trip anymore. And then 20 minutes later, when I've calmed down, I'm like, yeah, of course we're still going on the trip. What are you talking about? You'll be like, you told us we're not going. I just went and canceled everything. You're like, why on earth would you do that? You're crazy. It's because now we're feeling okay about it. But before we weren't.
Right. And men wonder why guys are intimidated. You guys feel so much more in the moment than we do, that we're just like, I'm not sure what is happening.
Yeah.
Right in this moment. That's
how we're processing. We're processing through feeling or even acting out how we're feeling as well.
So,
and then it's kind of, then we're done and we're kind of okay after that.
So I've braved the dating world now and we're doing this, right? And I want to take it from we're dating to moving into a more deeper relationship. How do we make that transition from, okay, we've started dating this person and we're enjoying their company and starting to have stronger feelings and emotions about it. Yeah. How do we make that transition from dating into, as you specialize in, moving towards a more meaningful relationship?
Yeah, well, it's a really wonderful question. Actually, recently I've been asked a lot, like, how do I know when I should commit to somebody? And there kind of isn't a one size fits all answer to that. It's very much, are you seeing positive signs of the relationship as it's unfolding? Are you getting to know that person on a deep level? And are you feeling deeply known? And do you align in terms of what you are both wanting from the relationship? And are you aligned on your values? If you're starting to feel like all of that stuff is adding up, then I would say you're heading towards a really beautiful future with that person. But for some people, that may be, and I don't like to put rules around dating, but I would recommend, okay, so you can ignore me or you can take this advice, to at least date somebody, at least date them for 3 months before you make any commitment to them. And I would say probably go a little longer than that if you can. Because the truth is, in the beginning, we're very much in this field of infatuation. That other person can do no wrong. We're totally addicted to them. We have oxytocin and all the yummy chemicals going through our brain that says, like, that person is a perfect person for me. And we don't really know what they're like under pressure or when things aren't going so well in their lives. So, we may want to lock them down and commit to them and have them as our person forever at that point in time. But there is no rush. And it's also about the journey of getting to know another amazing human being and determining if that person is someone you really want to give your full self to. I got the advice from when I first started dating my partner. I, for the first time in my life, had to get a couple counseling sessions through the process because I noticed a lot of anxieties arising in me. And being a coach myself, I understand the benefit of getting support when we need it. And I remember she said to me, two things that were incredibly impactful for me and things that I pass on to men that I work with too, which is what I said earlier. There is no rush, right? Because anxious daters do want to rush into things. Mm-hmm. So there is no rush. And you don't know enough about this person to be certain. When she said that to me, I was like, I felt like she just went through the screen and like slapped me across the face. And she's like, you don't know enough about this guy to be certain about him. So just relax. And I was like, yes, I do. He's perfect. And she's like, no, he's not. Chill the F out. Slow things down. I was like, fine. Like so begrudgingly. I was like, fine. Let me like really get to know this person and what makes them tick and what doesn't. And, our relationship is developing at a pace that is very different from my past relationships. And I'm very happy about it because I'm really getting to know this person and who they really are. And so, slow things down, look for these green signs. I have a couple posts out there to say like what you should be looking for from somebody too. But really, do you feel safe around them? Right? Do you feel like you can be yourself around them? Are you starting to really know that person, their fears and their dreams, right? And are you wanting the same thing from your lives together? And if all those things are adding up, go ahead, make the commitment if you want, right? I'm not an advocate for having the conversation, but if you want to, have it.
I asked one young couple that when I was a minister, I was doing some premarital counseling with a young couple, and I asked them, it's like, How does your future husband, how does his family do Christmas? And they're like, she's like, and she knew. It's like, okay, how does her family do Christmas? Well, they do this. Great. How are you guys going to do Christmas?
Yeah.
And we'll go to my mom. And she's like, no, we'll go to my, and instantly the argument started.
Oh yeah.
It's like and they didn't want to do any kind of premarital counseling. It's like, this is why you do counseling beforehand. Because
100%.
There are conversations you haven't talked yet, right?
Counseling can be proactive, people. Hiring a coach can be proactive, right? It doesn't mean we have to wait until there's an issue and then try and go fix it. We can also be working on our skills so that we prevent these big things from happening, right? Mm-hmm. And that's actually a beautiful thing. It's in the Gottman Institute has this funny little diagram called the Sound Relationship House, and it's indicators of a healthy long-term relationship. And one of them talks about having shared rituals with your partner. So your example of how do you as a couple celebrate Christmas is a beautiful example of like, as the two of you now bring what you both like and your beliefs and your traditions into a relationship, how are you making it work for the two of you, and what kind of meaning does that have for you? Which is a really fun thing to explore with somebody, I think.
It is, but it's one of those little things you don't think about when you're caught up in the moment, right? We're so excited, all the chemicals are flowing. We're like, yay, and we're not thinking like, okay, well, 6 months from now, we're gonna experience this together. How's that gonna go? You know?
Yeah, or we're gonna move in together. What is it like to live with you? Do you leave your stuff all over the place? Are you super OCD about everything? Are we gonna butt heads on all of this stuff? Like, let's actually find out what are the major sources of conflict and deal with them now, or at least have some thoughts about them.
I had one couple tell us one time that it's like, oh, we've been dating for years, so we don't need any kind of counseling. We don't need to go talk to anybody. I was like, I don't even want you to talk to me. Talk to somebody, right? Find somebody you guys both trust and talk to them. Oh, we don't need that. We've been dating for years. It's like, yeah, but at the end of the night, you both go home, right? Mm-hmm. You may go to her place, she may go to your place, but at the end of the day, you both go home and get to retreat. Once you're in the same place, there's no going to your corners.
No, well, the dynamic is very different, and you actually need to have conversations around a source of conflict is disagreeing on time together versus time apart, right? So sometimes people will get offended if their partner wants to do something without them, but it actually is really healthy. And the foundation of a healthy relationship is, person A has an identity, person B has an identity, right? They keep those identities. They learn to be in a relationship together, but they're not merging their identities, right? What was it? Spice Girls, 2 becomes 1. No, it just doesn't work that way. 2 stays as 2, but you decide to hang out together.
Wow, right? I have not heard a Spice Girls reference in a few years.
No, I don't know where it came from, but I was like, that's a perfect example. Like, no, 2 does not become 1. You stay as individual people.
Props for the 90s
maybe
reference.
That was the start of like the codependency pandemic. Thanks, Spice Girls.
Right? Oh my goodness. Twilight series.
Yeah.
What in the world? I was like, can we teach kids to be more codependent on each other?
Yeah.
How overly dramatic can we get?
Probably more, I'd say.
That's terrifying. So what is next for Kimberly Hill?
What is next for me in life is just continuing to have fun, go on adventures, practice my golf game, love my partner, be a good citizen and person. For business, it's continuing to support and help men that are either single and wanting to date or in relationships and wanting to improve them. Been doing this now for a few years. Business is going well and growing. So lots of cool things on the horizon. Maybe not as much travel as I would have liked over the last year and a half. I'm a big fan of traveling, but I definitely see that coming up in the new year, as well as some personal goals I'm working on. So lots of exciting stuff, at least to me in my world.
So you have a website and social media. Where can people find you?
Yeah, great question. And thank you for asking it. Of course, if you want to get some advice and get an idea of how I speak to my audience and the kind of things I'm talking about, social media at Kimberly Nina Hill is a great way to connect with me. If you are looking for a little bit more personalized support, then I would recommend checking out my website, KimberlyNinaHill.com. There it is. That's me. And you can download a free guide I have that talks about how to overcome common mistakes men are making in dating. It's called the Dating Handbook for Men. And of course, if you actually want to see if coaching is right for you, there's never any pressure on any of my calls, but I certainly would happily invite you to have a free 45-minute consultation with me. If I'm the right person, awesome. If I'm not, I might know someone else that could support you. So those are some places to find me.
And we have here on the screen the Dating Handbook for Men. Is that what you're talking about?
That's it. Yeah. Get the free handbook. Created a really amazing ebook there that talks about how to overcome a lot of common mistakes men make when they're dating again, and gives some useful tips there on attraction, even a suggestion on how to ask a girl out, a couple different workbooks there to help you get really clear on what you are looking for and what you don't want. Lots of things we talked about today on the show. So yeah, grab it. It's free. If you hate me, unsubscribe. No big deal.
Guys, as always, we will have all of Kimberly's contacts down in the show notes or in the description of the show, depending on what platform you're watching. Guys, go check out what Kimberly is about. She's working on YouTube a little bit at a time. She's got some cute videos on there that I enjoyed. She's very active on Instagram.
YouTube is a whole beast of its own, right?
It's
like a lot of work to edit and create videos. So I do have a few up there. Check them out for sure. You get a sense of my personality. Crazily, I decided to start a TikTok channel. I don't know what I'm thinking. You can follow me there for some fun and laughs. But of course, social media, Instagram is where I hang out the most, I'd say.
I was told by a friend of mine who owns multiple businesses, small businesses, like he barraged me for 40 minutes one day. I came into one of his brick and mortar businesses. He makes artisan hot sauce, which is just
cool.
Amazing, right? Besides running the family little Hispanic grocery store and restaurant in town, but he makes artisan hot sauce. And I went in because I'm addicted, man. He makes his habanero hot sauce. But we've been buddies for several years. I've done some side work for him in IT with the store and stuff like that, helping with the network. And he pulled me aside one day when we were talking business, and he's like, dude, I love what you're doing. It's going great. How about TikTok? Are you doing TikTok? I was like, no, dude, that's like a space for little girls to dance and, people to do weird stuff to music. That's not me at all. And he spent 40 minutes chewing me out because I was not on TikTok. He's like, this is where people come to get that face-to-face talk, and you are so comfortable on the camera.
Yeah.
You need to be here. I was like, I finally created a TikTok account in front of him to end the argument.
Yeah.
And so it's still, that's
it's
so
just
weird to me.
How many places do you spread yourself, right? It gets to the point where, like, can you maintain quality on all these different channels? No. The truth is you're already recording some amazing content here. Maybe you just take little snippets of it to start and see how it goes.
That's a lot of my other social feeds. I have 8 social media platforms, so...
It's hard. Like, running a business these days, like, where do you want to be? LinkedIn, Facebook groups, TikTok, YouTube, podcasts. I don't know. You name it.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Kimberly, thank you for taking the time to join us today. You have shared some amazing, amazing things with us. And guys, I hope you've been paying attention. Check out what Kimberly's got going on. And as always, be better tomorrow because of what you do today. We'll see you next time.
This has been the Fallible Man Podcast, your home for everything man, husband, and father. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a show. Head over to www.thefallibleman.com for more content and get your own Fallible Man gear.